Hello, welcome back. Come on in, sit down, and let's talk too much. This will be the second part of the You Can Buy a House series, and I'm going to go over some simple intro theories about the financial side of it. Should be pretty quick. I'm not going to bog you down too much in numbers, and then I want to really dive deep into jobs, job types, job tiers, and a couple of ideas on how you can get into some of these jobs. We're going to talk about inbound cash, outbound cash. Should be pretty simple. The idea is to get your inbound cash as big as possible while having your outbound cash, bills, etc., necessities, as little as possible. I'll dig deeper into those to a further degree in like the next video, where I actually talk about some of the strategies specifically about saving your money and how to reduce your bills. I think that'll be very important, and those will be deep strategies, probably own videos on their own. But I think the main focus of this video will be the jobs that you should get, the kind of things you should look for when looking for a job, at least. Get any job you can, and obviously this depends on your situation and how much time you have in order to get a job, right? Now we're going to get deeper into jobs and types of jobs, right? So you could look at it as the S tier of jobs versus the F tier of jobs. I'm not going to make a tier list. Things change all the time. You're just going to have to do research on the jobs you're looking at getting. But I will say out the gate, you don't have to, with no experience, only apply at like grocery stores or Subway or those types of jobs. There are plenty of jobs that will accept you with no experience and train you to become better and just right out pay you way more. When I was first starting to work, I didn't even realize this. Like, nobody told me that there were these jobs you could get with no experience that would actually train you and pay you better. So the first jobs I had were all at different grocery stores. I even applied at like some 7-Elevens and Subways and stuff, but I didn't get those jobs, so whatever. And what ended up happening is I worked at the Winco, as I said in the last episode, for a long time because they were giving me the ESOP, Employee Stock Ownership Program, and I was able to. My original plan was to leverage that to get the house, and then at some point I found a better job through someone I knew at a brewery. Minimum wage at the time was like $8.49, something like that, really low. And I went from a little over that to $15 an hour. And this was an entry level job. Market today, that would effectively be going from a 15 to like a 25, right? It was a huge jump. And I was able to save significantly more money, even though I was renting an apartment and doing all the things, that I was actually able to save up the money I needed, as I mentioned in the last episode, to be able to buy this house. And I want you to be able to jump ahead of that and not have to go through the same learning curve I did, and be aware that these things exist. Like, you don't have to have your first job be McDonald's. It doesn't have to have your first job be Safeway, right? Nothing wrong with these jobs. Somebody's got to do them. If you're willing to work at these jobs and actually build a career, move up in them, you can go places. You can be great within them. You can even go up and be great at Walmart. I'm not trying to degrade these jobs. I'm just trying to point out to you that there are better entry-level positions that can give you a better jump start in buying a house. And the best way to do that, there's a couple of different things you can do. Don't use Indeed. They have a 1 in every 5 jobs are ghost jobs, as you can see. I think it just makes everything harder. You can go on there, you can apply for a million different jobs, and honestly, I think like AI is probably blocking half of them. But if you go to the actual company's website, I think you're going to have better results there. But, you know, do what you got to do. Find whatever job you got. And then let's narrow this down more specifically. Let's just say grocery stores, right? You can go work at Safeway. There's nothing wrong with Safeway as long as you're making money and you can get your inbound and outbound where you need them, right? So that you're making more money than you're spending. You can start saving and putting this towards a house using some of the strategies that you came up with, or you can, borrow some of mine. I don't mind. That's why I'm making these videos. But just Safeway, just Fred Meyer, don't just apply. Look into them. Like, there are tiers of, even in the grocery store business, right? And some of the top tier ones, at least when last I looked, which was years ago, you want to look at for like a Costco. Costco's got like the highest pay that I know of for any of the grocery stores, and they've got some of the better benefits. And another thing to think about is, even within these stores, not all positions are the same. So when I first started working at Winco, I was working as a cart clerk. So I was pushing carts all day, and I was making the least hourly of anybody in that whole store. People there, like, of that pay rate that I had as a cart clerk, the max I could get paid was less than somebody starting that day ringing up people at the cash register, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I get it. But at the same time, you should understand this, that not all positions are the same. Now, there's nothing wrong with going in as a cart clerk at Winco, as long as you're pushing to get to the next stage. Ultimately, I think you'll end up achieving a lot of your goals if you're just pushing yourself forward and trying to get to the next stage, right? But within grocery stores, you've also got the meat cutters. The meat cutters, everywhere I've ever looked, have always made significantly more than anybody else in the store. So you can also look into things like that. What position in these stores will pay you more? What position in these stores get better benefits, etc., etc.? Do you want to be a lead store manager, etc.? These are things you're going to want to look at when you're starting. Now, you may not be a store manager right away, but you can start as a cart clerk and move your way up and start saving money and doing what you have to do to achieve your goal of getting a house, which is, I'm assuming if you're watching this series, what we're doing, right? But just something to think about. Even if at the grocery stores, there are better jobs in there that can get you where you're trying to go. So you don't have to stress too hard about, oh my God, I have to apply at something else. It's fine. Find something, figure it out, get your numbers right, and I think you'll ultimately be fine on that level. But some other higher tier jobs that you can think of that, at least when I was starting out, I didn't know about. So other than grocery stores, because we just went over that, you've got warehousing. There's a lot of fantastic warehousing jobs that will pay you way more than minimum wage. Might be a little bit harder of a job, but it'll pay you significantly more. There's also like certificate-based jobs, right? Without having to go to college, you can get certain certificates, like CDL would be great. I'm going to go deeper into that because that's another job option that can actually give you a lot of benefits. It's going to help you afford to buy a house way earlier. But I'll just mention it here real quick, is that you can go to a school for like $5,000, I believe, and get your CDL, and you can go and start hauling stuff in one of those bigger trucks. Just don't make a U-turn and kill 3 people. Please don't do that. Or you can get into the trades, contractors, yard work, maintenance people. There's a lot of janitors. You can get your CDL. You can be a garbage truck driver. They make a lot of money. Government benefits. There's a lot of good stuff you can do, right? So don't just go out there with the expectation, oh, I just need a job. I'll start working at XYZ grocery store, and that they gave you a job, great, now you're working, but you're still struggling. Do a little bit of looking into some of these businesses and a little bit of extra research, and just that little bit of research can take you to the next level of being able to have a slightly better job than you otherwise would have, and then understanding that there's a whole lot of tiers to these jobs. You can go into the trades, go to school, become an electrician. They'll pay you to go to school to become an electrician, and now you're making way more than some of these other people. So take a minute, look at it, assess what you can do, and apply to all of them. Every single one of them. and then take the best one you can. If you have to take one of the lower ones, let's say you're a cart clerk at a grocery store, keep applying for other jobs, but don't quit that job until you have your next one lined up so that you can always have that steady stream of income. I feel like this should be obvious, but I don't know, I've seen some people kind of make these mistakes before. Also, at this point, I want to bring up temp agencies. I've found 2 of my jobs so far at a temp agency. Going into a temp agency can also be a very good resource because they'll find all the jobs for you in all the different fields. But again, you have to understand that not all temp agencies are the same. There are some that work in different fields better than others. And you'll want to look into that so that you know that you're applying for the right temp agency that's going to get you into maybe the field or the pay range that you're looking for. You can even tell them up front. They'll take all your skills. They'll basically do all the job looking for you. And they will tell you when you have an interview, and then you just go there and you do that. So this is also a fantastic opportunity. Like if you did get your job because you just needed a job, and it's not where you want to be, it's not giving you the pay you need, you can use temp agencies to also help you find many of these jobs that honestly aren't even posted anywhere. Maybe not even on their company site. Maybe they exclusively use temp agencies. Definitely use temp agencies. The only thing you're going to want to think about, one of the downsides of the temp agencies, is some of these temp jobs are literally just, hey, we need another person for the next 3 days. Hey, we need a person for a couple weeks. They will tell you that up front before you even take the interview, and you don't even need to go to those. But it is something you can think of. You can use it for extra work, like just as a second job to kind of work and get extra money in other places. But also temp agencies is something that I would probably highly recommend and show people about that you can also look into. I hope that kind of gives you a different perspective on things. I hope you take that into account. Thank you for watching. You have a great day. We're going to get you to buy a house because you can.